very good morning. It's just past 8 this Thursday morning and we're back again with all the news and breakfast news, and over the course of next hour we'll get you all the news from across the nation, business, updates, sports as well, and whatever is making it to the headlines from across the world. In fact, back home we'll get you all the updates on Parliament proceedings as well, and there's a lot making it to the headlines this morning, all up in the next 1 hour. I'm Nancy Kohli and with me is Anil Thomas. Good morning, Anil.
Good morning, Nancy. Lots to look forward to in the next 60 minutes. It's power-packed bulletin here. As Nancy mentioned, a look at all the stories that are making headlines, not only in India but across the world here in this 1 hour. Taking a look, special look at business and sports stories there. Business, the markets for the first time zooming past 50,000. In sports too, Liverpool's title defense getting a big dent as Manchester City keep that winning run going. And also Tokyo Olympics, finally look set with the first set of rules to be followed by the players and the fans out in the open. So lots to look forward to in the next 60 minutes. Let's get started with the top headlines at the top of this hour.
Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate the Chauri-Chaura Centenary Celebrations today in Uttar Pradesh via video conferencing. The day marks 100 years of the Chauri-Chaura incident, a landmark event in the country's fight for independence.
President Ram Nath Kovind to begin 4-day visit to Karnataka and Andra Pradesh today to address the valedictory function of the Aero India 21 at the Air Force Station Yelahanka in Bangalore tomorrow.
India to host the first ever Indian Ocean Region Defence Ministers Conclave. The conclave is an initiative to promote dialogue to foster development of peace, stability and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. The Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to deliver the concluding remarks.
Lok Sabha witnesses several adjournments yesterday following approval by opposition over farm laws. Rajya Sabha discusses motion of thanks on President's address.
Government issues a notice to Twitter on the farmer issues, also warns that may face action if it does not comply with the orders.
National Highway Authority of India creates world record of leaving the pavement quality concrete for a 4-lane highway of 2,580 meters length with 24 hours. Highway is part of the Greenfield Delhi-Vadodara-Mumbai 8-lane expressway project.
Sensex closes at 50,250 for the first time ever. The market moves from 40,000 to 50,000 in 417 days.
Liverpool's English Premier League title defence suffers a setback as they lose at home to Brighton. Manchester City record 13th successive win in all competitions to open a 4-point cushion at the top.
And well, those were the headlines. Let's now get you the news in detail and begin with the Prime Minister Modi, who will inaugurate the Chauri-Chaura Centenary Celebrations today.
Well, the top story coming from there, Prime Minister will inaugurate the Chauri-Chaura function there in Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh today via video conferencing. The day marks 100 years of the Chauri-Chaura incident, a landmark event in the country's fight for independence. Prime Minister will also release a postal stamp dedicated to the Chauri-Chaura centenary during the event. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, will also be present on the occasion. The centenary celebrations and various events planned by the state government will begin in all 75 districts of the state from the 4th of February today and will continue for 1 year till the 4th of February 2022.
And let's now go across to our correspondent Arun Sharma, who's joining us with more updates on that. Arun, this important centenary celebrations that will take place, and Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating these. In fact, tell us more about it, the various events planned there by the state government, starting from today and continue up until next year.
Good morning, Nancy, Anil and all our viewers. Yes, indeed, it's an important day. As far as this incident is concerned, and of course the relatives and the people, the family members of the people who sacrificed their life for our nation, for our country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi believes in one fact, that history should be told to the young generation. History should be told to the generation next, so that they can take inspiration, they can learn lessons from it. Be it Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, be it Subhash Chandra Bose, be it various other freedom struggle personalities, be it various freedom fighters. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on various occasions, have mentioned their name, has primarily ensured that the youngsters should learn from their life lessons. So when we talk about the Chauri-Chaura incident, we know this fact that it is, entering, the incident is entering its 100th year. And this incident primarily is considered to be a landmark, incident as far as India's freedom struggle is concerned. But unfortunately, Anil and Nancy, the freedom fighters, the people who sacrificed their life, because many people were hanged, and there were many people in this freedom struggle who sacrificed their life, and this Chauri-Chaura incident got lost in the pages of history in the past. So idea is that how can the youngsters, the generation next, can be made aware about these incidents, and they can take inspiration. Number one, Mahatma Gandhi even at that time had to end the this non-cooperation movement, because the kind of violence that was escalated at that time. But yes, as far as the events that are lined up is, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be releasing the poster stamp. His address and vision will be very much important as to what is his idea about as far as this Chauri-Chaura incident is concerned, and what can youngsters learn from it. Number two is that in the 75 districts of Uttar Pradesh, various events are being lined up. People can live stream this event as well, and various stage shows will be done, nukkad nataks will be done, so that the youngsters can learn from the history, the pages of history primarily. So that is what the basic idea of this important day today.
Okay, Arun, you made a mention about this particular Chauri-Chaura incident, being narrated to the next generation. What happens? Is there going to be, what is the state government's move here? Across 75 districts, celebrations being done. But what exactly, when you look at the next generation knowing about it, is it going to be a part of their syllabus? And how do you look at especially this particular incident resonating among the youth today? The steps forward by the state government.
Well, so what you learn from past down there in 100 years, when this Chauri-Chaura incident happened in Chauri-Chaura village in Uttar Pradesh, the idea is that violence is not the answer to any of the solutions. So that is what the message, that primarily the youngsters learn from all the incidents of our freedom struggle. Number two, as far as the events that are lined up today, that is, going to be celebrated for the next 1 year, as India is marking the 100th or the centenary celebrations of the Chauri-Chaura event. Various stage shows will be done, nukkad nataks will be done, awareness camp, not exactly an awareness campaign primarily, but yes, people would be, or the youngsters primarily would get to know via various modes as to what happened on the Chauri-Chaura event, and how Chauri-Chaura event played an important role as far as India's freedom struggle is concerned. So in that context, for next 1 year, various events are lined up, like nukkad natak, and of course creating awareness in colleges, school, as far as the youngsters are concerned, telling them stories via storytelling mode, via debate competition, via elocution competition. So all this will be done for next 1 year, and today the celebration will be held all across the 75 districts of Uttar Pradesh. So yes, it's a significant day as far as Chauri-Chaura event is concerned.
All right, Arun Sharma, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those updates as far as Chauri-Chaura Centenary Celebration is concerned. In fact, Arun, they're telling us that more events and more engagements will take place from here on to educate the young generation, the youth, the next gen of this country. And as far as the India's freedom struggle is concerned, of course, more is being planned in that direction. Thanks, Arun, very much for joining us and sharing those inputs.
Well, Nancy, it's an important thing, especially when you look at this particular story, purely taking it to the next generation. That's something very important that one needs to, look forward to.
And Prime Minister has, in fact, time and again been urging the youth of this country to incorporate in their daily routine to know more about the freedom fighters and India's freedom struggle, so that they are more aware, and the legacy that's been left behind clearly by the freedom fighters does not go in vain. All right, we'll keep focusing on that, but moving on now to some other news, and this is about President Ram Nath Kovind's visit. Will begin a 4-day visit to Karnataka and Andra Pradesh from today, and the president will leave for Bengaluru today evening, and tomorrow the president will address the valedictory function of the Aero India 21 at the Air Force Station Yelahanka in Bengaluru. President Kovind will visit Madikeri, that's the Kodagu district of Karnataka, on the 6th of February to inaugurate a museum at the erstwhile ancestral house of General Timaya. On 7th of February, the president will grace the 23rd annual convocation of the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences in Bengaluru. On the same day, he will also visit the ashram of the Satsang Foundation in Madanapalle and People Grow School at Sadam in Andhra Pradesh before returning to New Delhi.
Well, India will host the Indian Ocean region's defense ministers conclave today on the margins of the Aero India 2021 at Bengaluru. Enhanced peace, security and cooperation in the Indian Ocean will be the theme of the conclave. The event will commence with a welcome address by the Defence Secretary and addresses by the defence ministers of participating nations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will give the concluding remarks. The conclave aims to promote dialogue and foster peace, stability and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. The Defence Ministers' conclave will be followed by two seminars. Two seminars will be held today and tomorrow.
And let's move on now, get you updates from Parliament. The Lok Sabha will today resume after witnessing several adjournments yesterday following the uproar by the opposition against the three farm laws. The members from the Congress, DMK, TMC left the SP, Shiv Sena and others trooped into the well and raising slogans against the government. And as soon as the proceedings started at 4 late afternoon, the leaders of the Congress in the Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, tried to raise the issue of protesting farmers. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla urged the agitating members to maintain order in the House, saying he will give ample time for discussion on the issue. But the noisy scenes continued, resulting in the House to be adjourned till 4:30 and then 5, 7 and then 9 at night last night.
While the Rajya Sabha took up discussion on the motion of thanks to the President's address yesterday, the House witnessed a brief adjournment when AAP members created an uproar by trooping into the well, forcing the chairman to name some of them. On the demand made by the members of various parties, the House earlier decided to increase the time of the debate on the motion of thanks by 5 hours to 15 hours now. The House also dispensed with the question hour and the private members' business to enable more time for the debate. But for more on that story, Vishal Baristo, our correspondent, joining us this morning, giving us an update on Parliament there. Vishal, good morning. Vishal, finally there seems to be some kind of consensus that seems to be arriving in Parliament, especially when it comes to discussion on the farmers' protest. 15 hours there being decided by, the opposition parties agreeing and coming on board, especially, to the demands that they had. And finally, there seems to be some headway in this budget session of Parliament when it comes to deliberations.
Well, not exactly, Anil. Very good morning to you, because what we saw yesterday in the upper house, though the opposition thanked the government for allowing them, the chairman rather, for allowing them to discuss more on the farmers' issue. But the lower house was adjourned time and again, and after 5 repeated adjournments, it was again adjourned to 4 p.m. today. So let me tell you that because of the political compulsions in the poll-bound states, the opposition is a divided house. The Congress, TMC, they are fighting a battle in Bengal, because when we talk about West Bengal, which is going to be, which is a poll-bound state, TMC is fighting a triangular battle where left and Congress have combined against TMC. And when we talk about Kerala, the left and Congress are fighting each other. So because of the political compulsions, there is a confusion amidst the opposition parties. That is why when Ghulam Nabi Azad thanks the chairman of the Rajya Sabha for allowing discussions and increasing the time limit, the same opposition in the lower house, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who's the leader of Congress party and also the opposition, time and again disrupts the house. So there were unruly scenes in the lower house and the house was adjourned. Today in the upper house, the Home Minister Amit Shah would be moving a bill on the Jammu and Kashmir reorganization amendment bill that would be introduced, tabled in the upper house. So two different pictures, both in upper house and lower house. Nancy?
Okay. All right, Vishal, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those updates as to what really we can expect in Parliament today. We'll of course be touching base with you and our other correspondents to get the very latest as far as the Parliament proceedings is concerned for the day today. And moving on now, and as per a popular saying, little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and it's true of some people who have an exalted sense of their own importance. And if you are a celebrity with millions of followers on social media, you tend to fall victim to it that much more quickly. And when that happens, you end up creating a situation like the American singer-actor Rihanna has done, while which is wholly uncalled for and eminently avoidable.
Unsolicited, condescending, misleading and misplaced. India came down heavily on foreign celebrities using social media to spread falsehoods about a 2-month-old protest by farmers and foment unrest in the country. It used the hashtags India Together and India Against Propaganda to censure and caution them against indulging in sensationalism. The Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson issued a strongly worded statement. It read, "Before rushing to comment on such matters, we would urge that the facts be ascertained and a proper understanding of the issues at hand be undertaken. The temptation of sensationalist social media hashtags and comments, especially when resorted to by celebrities and others, is neither accurate nor responsible." In a point-by-point rebuttal of the claims and comments made by celebrities such as singer and actor Rihanna from the Caribbean nation of Barbados, the spokesperson said, "A full debate and discussion on farm laws was held in the Indian Parliament. Only a very small section of farmers in parts of India have some reservations about these reforms. India offered to keep the laws on hold, which was iterated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. Instead, some vested groups unleashed violence and vandalism in Delhi on 26 January, the day India celebrated its Republic Day. Indian police forces handled these protests with utmost restraint. Some of these vested interest groups tried to mobilize international support, and instigated by such fringe elements, Mahatma Gandhi's statues were desecrated in parts of the world." Indian actors Ajay Devgan and Sunil Shetty tweeted in support of the Indian hashtags. Devgan tweeted, "Don't fall for any false propaganda against India or Indian policies. It is important to stand united at this hour without any infighting." Shetty said, "We must always take a comprehensive view of things, as there is nothing more dangerous than half-truth." The Indian government on Wednesday issued a notice to Twitter asking the social media company to comply with its order to remove contents or accounts related to farmer genocide. The government said content posted on Twitter was designed to inflame passions, hate, and were factually incorrect. The Indian Foreign Ministry statement added that these protests must be seen in the context of India's democratic ethos and polity and the efforts of the government and farmer groups concerned to resolve the impasse. DD India.
Well, on to BJP President's visit to Kerala. During his day 2 of Kerala visit, BJP National President JP Nadda will arrive at Cochin International Airport today morning, where he will be greeted by party workers. At around 11 a.m., JP Nadda will address in-charges and conveners of the 140 Assembly constituencies in Thrissur. Later, Nadda will also address the social leaders meeting as well as a public meeting in Thrissur only. With his visit, the BJP president tries to set in motion the organizational activities of the party ahead of the assembly elections likely in April and May this year.
And moving on now to the COVID updates, let's take a look at the COVID situation across worst affected states of the country. While Kerala has reported maximum number of new cases yesterday, 6,356 positive cases were reported yesterday. Besides that, 6,380 patients were discharged, while 20 patients lost their lives in the past 24 hours. In Maharashtra, 2,992 new cases were registered yesterday. 7,030 patients were discharged, while 30 patients died in the past 24 hours. Currently, 1,82,181 people are in home quarantine and 2,093 people are in institutional quarantine. Tamil Nadu continues to report a stable COVID-19 case tally, with the daily number staying below the 600 mark. A total of 514 persons tested positive for the virus across the state yesterday. 4 deaths were also reported, while 533 patients were discharged in the past 24 hours. And talking about the national capital, Delhi, 150 new cases of infection were reported yesterday. 153 patients were cured and discharged, while 6 patients lost their lives to the virus in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 1,208 active cases in Delhi.
Well, India has now been healing from the COVID-19 pandemic. The country has not only unlocked again, but also started providing COVID-19 vaccine jab to its frontline workers. Amid India gradually tracking back to its pre-COVID-19 conditions, NCC has also resumed its training camp in Uttar Pradesh's Moradabad. This time, the camp has been organized for 3 days instead of 10 days. With all COVID-19 protocols being strictly observed, over 170 cadets are being given practical training in the NCC camp.
Now, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan Army has yet again violated the ceasefire and resorted to unprovoked and indiscriminate firing, targeting the Indian forward post and the civilian areas along the line of control in Rajouri district, which left 1 Jawan martyred. The defense spokesperson has told DD India that Pakistani troops started firing with small arms, followed by shelling with mortars in Sundarbani sector of Rajouri district. Even as the alert, Indian troops responded strongly to the enemy fire. However, in the incident, Sepoy Lakshman was critically injured and later succumbed to his injuries. The martyred soldier belonged to Bilara in the Jodhpur district in Rajasthan.
Well, National Highways Authority of India, that's NHAI, has created a world record for the laying of a pavement quality concrete for a 4-lane highway of 2,580 meter length within just 24 hours. The highway is part of the Greenfield Delhi-Vadodara-Mumbai 8-lane expressway project. Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari on Wednesday shared a glimpse of the road construction which took place under his ministry and NHAI on Twitter.
Moving on, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Ram Nath Kovind, inaugurated the tourist garden Swarnim Vatika at the Tavi Mode in Shimla. The Vatika has been set up by the Forest Department as part of the Golden Jubilee celebration of the statehood of Himachal Pradesh. The inauguration of the new Swarnim Vatika will generate new jobs for the locals in the area. The state has completed 50 years of celebration this year. The Himachal Pradesh government had earlier announced to organize 51 programs on 51st year this year across the state.
Well, continuing with the chilling weather conditions in northern and central India, Himachal Pradesh received fresh snowfall yesterday. High reaches of Kullu, Shimla, Kinnaur and Chamba received light rainfall. The Meteorological Department has issued a yellow weather warning for thunderstorm in the state for today and rain and snowfall in mid and high hills and predicted for the coming 2 days. Earlier this morning, the national capital and the adjoining areas also received light rainfall.
And after all that news from across the nation, let's move on now to our next segment and get you all the news from around the world in across the globe. Now, the U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said that the U.S. is disturbed by reports that ousted Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi was charged following the military's takeover and repeated a call for all detained in the coup to be immediately released. Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi will be detained for questioning until 15th of February after police pressed charges against the former democracy icon for illegally importing communications equipment.
While UN spokesperson Stephanie Durak on Wednesday told reporters that charges against Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi just compounded the undermining of the rule of law in Myanmar and the democratic process. He added that they continue to call her for her immediate release.
We continue and will continue to call for her immediate release, for the president's immediate release, and all others who have been detained by the military in the last few days. I think the charges filed against her just compound the undermining of the rule of law in Myanmar and the democratic process.
Now, reiterating calls for a ceasefire between the Afghan government and the insurgent Taliban, the European Commissioner for Crisis Management has said that half of the Afghans need humanitarian aid, but rising violence is preventing deliveries. He visited Kabul to announce the European Union will provide 32 million euros for humanitarian projects in 2021.
Well, Ecuadorian voters struggling under a battered economy seem to be leaning towards a return to socialism in February's presidential poll. Ecuador is on the course for a presidential runoff vote, but a fragmented legislature means any winner will struggle to grab the economic nettle. Economist Andres Oris, one of the prodigies of former President Rafael Correa, is promising to revive the heavy social spending of Correa's decade in power.
And let's move on now, take a look at the global updates on COVID-19. Well, as of now, more than 10 crore 48 lakh COVID-19 cases have so far been reported worldwide. The global death toll due to COVID-19 has crossed over 22 lakh 75,000. Over 7 crore 65 lakh people have also recovered from the virus. The US continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far and has reported over 2 crore 71 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 4 lakh 61,000. Brazil follows the US in terms of death toll with 2 lakh 27,000 deaths.
Well, the World Health Organization, that's WHO's Health Emergencies Director Mike Ryan, has said that nations should not be punished for reporting new COVID-19 variants. He added that what they have learned from their colleagues in South Africa, Brazil, in UK and Denmark is vital, and they should be lauded.
We shouldn't be punishing those countries who've been looking and those countries who've been reporting, because we don't know in countries that haven't been looking and reporting whether those variants or other variants are there. What we have learned from our colleagues in South Africa, in Brazil, in the UK, in Denmark is vitally important information. They should be lauded, they should be praised, they should be held up and thanked for the vital information they're giving us. So I think that's really important.
And the U.S. White House spokesperson Jen Psaki has said that the U.S. President Joe Biden and the Senate Democratic leaders have agreed on the need to move swiftly to get $1,400 stimulus checks to the Americans. Biden has proposed a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 stimulus, while Republicans have offered a proposal of less than half of that figure.
Well, Spain's Health Minister Carolina Darius told a news conference on Wednesday that the country would receive just over 1.8 million doses of AstraZeneca's recently approved COVID-19 vaccine this month. The Spanish pharmaceutical company Insud Pharma will manufacture the vials of the vaccine developed by AstraZeneca. The University of Oxford will be in charge of filling and packaging the vaccine only for Spain. Spain has over 29,13,000 COVID-19 cases, with the death toll now past 60,000.
And moving on, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said the levels of COVID-19 infections remained alarmingly high. He, however, also said that there are some signs of hope, though, as the numbers of COVID patients in hospital are still beginning to fall for the first time since the onset of the new wave, the new variant of COVID-19.
Of COVID patients in hospital are beginning to fall for the first time since the onset of this new wave. The level of infection is still alarmingly high, and I'm sorry to say that we've lost another 1,322 lives in the last 24 hours alone, and our hearts again go out to every family that grieves.
Well, Chile has launched one of Latin America's most ambitious coronavirus vaccination programs, having set itself the target of inoculating around 5 million citizens against the disease by the end of March. The country, which started targeted inoculations last year for frontline health workers, is now rolling vaccines out to older adults and essential workers after receiving nearly 4 million doses of China's Sinovac vaccine. The country has over 7,36,600 cases of COVID-19, with more than 18,500 fatalities.
And moving on, while a German veterinary clinic has trained sniffer dogs to detect the novel COVID-19 in human saliva samples with 94% accuracy. While these dogs are conditioned to send out the corona odor that comes from cells in the infected people.
Well, Olympic officials unveiled the first of many COVID-19 rules for the Tokyo Olympic Games. As per the rules, singing and chanting during events are banned, and participants are required to wear masks at all times except when eating and sleeping. Those who break these rules may be faced with removal from the games or other punishments.
And let's move on now to our next segment. After all the international updates, let's get you the business stories of the day in Business Buzz. And first up, news on the Sensex. While continued exuberance around the union budget and the positive global cues lifted the stocks further on Wednesday, with the benchmark Sensex index closing above the 50,000 point mark for the first time, gaining over 8% in just 3 days. Now, despite high stock valuations, the investors expect the union budget proposals to kickstart the investments critical to reviving the growth. The 30-share index jumped 458 points or 0.92% to close at 50,255, while the broader NSE index gained 0.97% to 14,789. Further, analysts say that the near-term triggers such as the RBI monetary policy review tomorrow and the earnings may drive the markets even higher. The RBI monetary policy review, however, is widely expected to keep the policy rates unchanged, maintaining an accommodative stand.
Well, India's market regulator has barred Future Group founder Kishore Bayani and several related entities, including his brother Anil, from accessing the securities market in an insider trading case dating back to 2017. Bayani, a pioneer in Indian retail, and he's also being barred from transacting in securities of Future Retail for 2 years. The regulator said it reached the decision after a probe into a 2017 case pertaining to the use of unpublished price-sensitive information to trade in Future Retail shares. The decision comes even as Kishore Bayani's sale of his businesses to Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Retail is facing legal challenges from Amazon.com.
And time for us to move on now to our next segment and get you all the action from the world of sports.
While Liverpool's title ambitions were further dented as Brighton made it back-to-back defeats at Anfield for Jurgen Klopp's team in a 1-0 victory. Just as the defending champions looked to have got back to their relentless selves with away wins at Tottenham and West Ham, they were back in ponderous mood as Steven Alizet's scrappy winner was enough for brilliant Brighton. After going 68 games unbeaten at home, Liverpool, who were missing Alisson through illness, have now suffered straight defeats to Burnley and Brighton and have not scored in the last 348 minutes of action at Anfield. They have just one shot on target against the Seagulls in a toothless attacking showing. The defeat leaves Liverpool 7 points off league leaders Manchester City ahead of Sunday's super clash between the two teams.
And Manchester City made it 13 successive wins in all the competitions as they recorded an impressive 2-0 victory away at Burnley. An early goal from Gabriel Jesus, his second in successive games, got Pep Guardiola's side off to the perfect start. And a second from Raheem Sterling 6 minutes before the break ensured they left turf for more with all the 3 points. The victory moves City 3 points clear of Manchester United at the top of the Premier League and maintained 4 perfect record this year.
Well, incumbent Ajay Singh was on Wednesday re-elected as the president of the Boxing Federation of India, comfortably defeating challenger Ashish Shelar in the polls, which had an International Boxing Association observer in attendance. Ajay Singh, also the chairman of SpiceJet Airlines, prevailed by 37 votes for and 27 votes against in the elections held at a Gurugram hotel for a fresh 4-year term. He will have a new Secretary General by his side in Assam's Hemanta Kumar Kalita. Well, Ajinkya Rahane is back as the vice captain for the forthcoming India-England Test Series, with Virat Kohli returns to lead the team in the upcoming 4-match Test Series, which is a part of the ongoing World Test Championship. England play India between February 5th to March 28th for 4 Tests, 5 ODIs and 5 T20s and 3 ODIs, I beg your pardon. Chennai will host the first 2 Test matches. The final 2 Test matches will be played at the newly built stadium in Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad will also hold the T20 series, followed by Pune for the ODI series. At the press conference in Chennai, Rahane said, "My job is to take a back seat and help Virat Kohli."
Take a back seat and try and help Virat. As a captain, there are too many things in captain's mind. So as a vice captain, you have to visualize the situation, think about what can happen in the game, and then if captain asks you for some suggestions, you should be ready. So my job is really easy. I'll take a back seat. Whenever required, I'll go and tell him, or whenever he asks me about certain things, I'll just go and tell him. So it's all about, I think, that helps us a lot.
Well, Rahane also believes that the team is currently focusing on the England tour. He added that the team is still not thinking about the finals of the World Test Championship.
See, right now we are just focusing on this series, this game, Chennai game. Test Championship final still, I think, another 3-4 months from now. We are not thinking about that. New Zealand played really well and they deserve to be there. For us, what is important that we are playing against England now. It's all about taking one game at a time against them. As I said that, and I've been saying this, that England is a very good team. We have to play good cricket and then we'll see what happens after the series.
Well, Ajinkya Rahane also said that the team is not concerned about bio bubble. He added that the team is mentally very strong and not at all tired.
We're not mentally tired at all. We are really tough mentally, and we are as a unit, we are as a family. So we are enjoying each other's company here. We are spending time in our team room. Families are here, which is really important and which is really good. So we are not at all tired and we are really mentally tough.
And let's move on now to our health story of the day. And today is the World Cancer Day, observed every year on the 4th of February. The day reminds the world to unite in the fight against cancer. The theme this year of the day is I Am and I Will. Cancer is the second leading cause of death globally. The World Cancer Day originated in 2000 at the first World Summit Against Cancer, which was held in Paris. The day was founded by the Union for International Cancer Control to support the goals of the World Cancer Declaration written in 2008.
5 प्रमुख टाइप के कैंसर हैं: ब्रेस्ट कैंसर, सर्वाइकल कैंसर, ओरल कैविटी, लंग कैंसर एंड जीआई कैंसर. तो ब्रेस्ट कैंसर में यूजुअली जो पेशेंट प्रेजेंट करता है ब्रेस्ट लंप या ब्रेस्ट में गांठ के साथ प्रेजेंट करता है. सर्वाइकल कैंसर में एबनॉर्मल ब्लीडिंग या डिस्चार्ज के साथ प्रेजेंट करता है. लंग कैंसर में क्रॉनिक कफ होता है या डिस्निया ऑन एक्सर्शन होता है. जीआई कैंसर में खाना अच्छे से पचता नहीं है.
Well, after a look at that particular story there on your health tip, it's now time to take a jog down memory lane and take a look at all the important events that took place on this very day in history, February 4th.
It was on this day in 1789 that electors unanimously chose George Washington to be the first president of the United States and John Adams as vice president. It was on this day in 1974 that Satyendra Nath Bose, Indian physicist best known for his work on quantum mechanics, died in Kolkata. His work on the subject led to the development of Bose-Einstein statistics and the Bose-Einstein condensate theory. It was on this day in 1990 that VP Singh, the then Prime Minister, declared Ernakulam as the first total literate district of the country. It was on this day in 2004 that the social networking website Facebook was launched by Mark Zuckerberg.
And after that, let's move on now to our next segment, the Web Review, to get you all the updates, what's making it to the headlines around the World Wide Web this morning.
We've got our colleague Amritpal waiting by. Amritpal, welcome to Breakfast News. What do we have for us?
And the web portals have led with news yesterday emanating from the Parliament. The Indian Express leads with "Don't repeat Shaheen Bagh." That's what the government tells the opposition, asserting that the new farm laws passed by extensive deliberation in the Parliament. The BJP said in Rajya Sabha on Wednesday that the government's doors were always open for farmers to resolve the issue amicably, and urged the opposition parties not to turn the agitation into another Shaheen Bagh, initiating the debate on the motion of thanks to the President's address. The BJP member from Bhubaneswar, Kalita, said that the benefits of these three laws are known to the nation, and the opposition should not get into opposing it for the opposition's sake. The other big story that's made it to the web portals and the newspapers this morning is about the vaccination drive. It says 18 days, India is the fastest to reach the 4 million mark. India has inoculated around 45% of the healthcare workers across the country against COVID-19 in 18 days. Remember, 16th January, the world's largest vaccination drive in the country was launched, and becoming the fastest country to vaccinate over 4 million people till the 2nd of February. This is according to the official data. The other big story that's made it to the newspapers, the Hindustan Times leads with that. Delhi police announced 6 lakh rupees cash award for info on Republic Day violent suspects. The Delhi police on Wednesday announced cash rewards of 6 lakh for information leading to the arrest of 8 suspects, including actor Deep Sidhu, who were allegedly involved in the violence and vandalism at Bradford during the farmers' tractor rally on the 26th of January. Yesterday, the police, that's the Delhi police, arrested one suspect, Dharmender Singh Harman, a Delhi resident identified from several video clips of the clashes at the fort. That's according to a senior official of Delhi police. The Indian Express also leads with Prime Minister Modi, Nirmala Sitharaman in coal-bound Assam over weekend launched multiple projects. Both the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister will launch projects in Assam ahead of the assembly elections in the state, which are likely to be held in April this year. Sitharaman will lead an event to ceremonially kick off a direct benefit transfer scheme, or a DBT scheme, for Assam tea garden workers on the 6th of February. And the other news is from the Times of India, that is about Myanmar. A tightrope walk, says the paper, for India as military takes over Myanmar. Days after the military, Myanmar reverted to military rule following a coup, India pushed back against the West's attempts to resort to tough measures against the country in closed-door discussions in the UN Security Council. Now, remember, the UN Security Council had held an emergency meeting on that, though no press statement was issued either by the United Nations Security Council or India's statement was also not out because it was a closed-door meeting. One understands that China and Russia weren't on the same page as the other powers on imposing sanctions. They felt that Myanmar has to be nudged, but India has to act very carefully in this matter because it could have repercussions on India as it shares borders with Myanmar. Also, China is the big elephant in the room. India cannot be seen as giving a free pass to China, lest Myanmar's generals choose to tilt towards China. So, given that, while India has condemned the takeover, the military takeover, and has said that it's watching developments very, very closely, including the detention of political leadership in the country, but it also does not want to be seen as going too belligerent and aggressive, lest the Myanmar army generals who are now in command go the China way. So that's what's made it to the newspapers, Anil. It's back to you.
Amrit, before I let you go, do you somewhere get the sense that this particular developments in Myanmar, the UN needs to come into play, and UN somewhere would have a bigger role to play, and especially to see that this particular coup fails?
Yes, UN has a very, very big role to play in this. After all, Myanmar, after a long struggle for democracy by Aung San Suu Kyi and her NLD party, came into some sort of democracy. Okay. Now with this coup, it's a great setback. Now with political leadership, including Aung San Suu Kyi under detention, it doesn't augur well. Also, the Rohingya issue is there in Myanmar, so it could explode into further unrest. Now, the world powers need to come to an agreement on that. That's the big problem. As you know, the P5 have a veto power with China, especially not on the same page as the other P5 powers. It becomes difficult for the UN Security Council to come to an agreement to take a certain action. But having said that, there is a great role that the UN as a body and the Security Council in particular has to play a decisive role to intervene in Myanmar. Well, it depends how you want to intervene. Do you want to intervene with sanctions, or do you want to nudge them, engage with them, open doors for talks? As US has said, they have no contact with the Myanmar military. So clearly, it is countries like India who have open door with them. So that is where other countries need to engage with the military there to nudge them to some sort of democracy, and UN as a body needs to be seen as exerting some sort of a pressure on them.
Right. Okay. Is there any update with regards to Aung San Suu Kyi? Where is she? Because she's been detained.
The reports emanating out of Nobita are not very concerning. Right now, her whereabouts are unknown, but it's understood that she's in political detention.
Okay. All right, Amrit, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing the web news review. And as far as developments that are taking place in Myanmar, democracy, they're taking a backseat, and remains to be seen what developments really transpire there in the days to come. And let's move on now with that and take a look at the weather conditions for today.
Well, taking a look at that weather satellite image, the western disturbance as a cyclonic circulation lying over North Pakistan and neighborhood and extending up to 5.8 kilometers above mean sea level, with the float with the roughly around, what does it mean? It means that there is a cyclonic circulation that's lying over northwest Rajasthan and neighborhood, extending up to 1.5 kilometers above mean sea level. Under the influence, scattered to fairly widespread light to moderate rain, snow with isolated thunderstorms, lightning and hail very likely over Himachal Pradesh today and over Uttarakhand over the next 48 hours. Isolated thunderstorms and lightning very likely over Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan and Muzaffarabad expected today. Interaction between this western disturbance and the lower level southeasterlies from the Bay of Bengal is likely to cause isolated to fairly widespread light to moderate rain and thunderstorms with isolated lightning and hail over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, North Rajasthan, Northwest Madhya Pradesh and West Uttar Pradesh today and over East Madhya Pradesh and North Chhattisgarh tomorrow. Let's now take a look at the temperatures in your city. Well, we are at the fag end of breakfast news, but remember, we leave you with a thought today. Remember, don't wake up with the thought of what all things that you couldn't accomplish or achieve yesterday. Look at the day today and the day forward on what all can be accomplished today. So look forward to that. And while we step out of the studios, we've got a campaign running for you that's called Mask Up India, where we're urging every Indians and all those people watching DD India to use the mask at all times as you step out of your house. Remember, we need to take care of our loved ones, and taking care of our loved ones by a very simple step, that's just wearing your mask. So as me and Nancy step out of the studios as we end the show, we're going to get our mask on while we move on, and we urge each and every one of you, please wear your mask at all times to protect your loved ones so that we could all see a better tomorrow.
Absolutely, it's a simple task. Do wear your mask. That's your safest, cheapest and the most protective gear that you can actually use in protecting yourself against COVID-19. It's difficult times. We have in fact, sailed through, navigated through difficult times, but still the battle is not over yet. So do wear your mask whenever you go out or meet someone. So that's the end of the show, but before we go today, in fact, we are leaving you with some very beautiful visuals. The year-long birth centenary celebrations of the dawn of music, Pandit Bhimsen Joshi begins today. A two-day event has been organized in Mumbai to commemorate the timeless legacy of the great musical maestro. To celebrate the musical maestro's life and music, Films Division will be screening his biopic on its website and YouTube channel today. So before we end the show, we are leaving you with this masterpiece by Pandit Joshi. Take a look, listen into that. We wish you a great day ahead. Take good care of yourself. Be safe, be healthy. Thanks for being with us.